Oh, hi. Oh, hello. Ah, long couple of days at work, so I'm just beat. So I'm gonna make this quick. It's been a tough day. Let me just put it this way: my job involves me sometimes being indirectly involved with the real estate market in Vancouver and the film industry, the massive film industry in Vancouver. I get to see a lot of really nice, really large, really extravagant homes from time to time. But as you all know, and I've said it before, Vancouver is the most expensive city in North America. We have the highest cost of living right across the board. It's not just real estate; it's goods and services as well. When you want to talk about real estate, some of the places that I've been in the last few months are just massive. Like, to me, 10 families could live in these houses. But just a little old 102-year-old house like this one just went up for sale today in the neighborhood I grew up in, and it's a quaint little shack, and it's only going for $5.5 million. So that's, with a 10% down payment, I think the monthly payments would be around 10 grand a month for about 40 years. Property taxes are almost $9,000 a year, and that's just going to keep going up. I mean, this is what it costs to live in Vancouver. And I know sometimes some people have commented, almost like I don't know why people seem to feel they need to comment this, but when I talk about how I like this as a lifestyle choice, I'm not chained down to a mortgage, and some people almost get offended by that. And of course, there are always people that have mortgages or had a mortgage and paid it off, and they're always arguing with me like, who cares? This is my choice. If you choose to mortgage a place and then flip it later, it's a good investment. Sure it is, of course it is. But some of us would rather not be chained down to pay off that mortgage. I would rather live now, not when I'm 75 and I need a wheelchair accessible motorhome. I want to live now. In Vancouver, I mean, a little piece of crap house like this, $5.5 million, we can't afford to just invest in that. And even if I could, do you think I'd really want to slave away for that? No, of course not. I'd rather not. And you don't really own anything anyways, especially when it comes to property taxes and bylaws, what you can do with your property. I find it too restrictive. I don't like it. So I like the freedom here. That being said, it's no secret that the south coast of BC and the entire west coast of BC, basically, even over on Vancouver Island, all the cities on the island, all the cities here, and the Sunshine Coast, you name it, is very popular for full-time RVers and van dwellers. And when I first started doing this, it wasn't for financial reasons, and I continued doing it not for financial reasons. In fact, sometimes I spend as much doing this as I did when I was renting an apartment. But I'd still prefer this. By far, I'd prefer this. I'd rather spend $1,000, $1,500 a month living this way than renting a little cube that I don't even own, just to have a place to sleep at night. No, that doesn't interest me. So, but the point is that when I started doing this, over 15 years ago, the real estate market was expensive, but nothing like it is today, where it's just out of control. And all of my friends pretty much have had to move to the suburbs and east and even other provinces and other cities, and those that are still around are all shacked up. They have like 3 or 4 roommates, and all of them have like at least one job, and most of them have at least one full-time and a part-time job just to get by. And I find that insane, but what do, right? It's a buyer's market out there, and if only the rich can afford to come and buy real estate here, it pushes everyone else out. A lot of people south of the border keep saying, oh, your housing market's going to crash, the bubble's going to burst, all this. But you know what? Our banking system is completely different than it is south of the border. Actually, a report just came out today about that, saying that our banks could withstand it. Even if Vancouver and Toronto's housing markets were to burst, that the banks would be able to absorb it, no problem. It's quite a bit different. But the main point is that most of the money coming into Vancouver and Toronto is also very expensive. Not as expensive as Vancouver, but pretty close. The main money coming in, the people buying these homes are not using the banks. They're already loaded. They're rich. They're coming into the country with money and buying up all the real estate. So it has nothing to do with the banking system at all. It's the way it is. I know some people have been waiting for the housing market to crash, the bubble to explode, since the 90s. And it still hasn't happened yet. And those people are still renting because they're still waiting for it to happen. So by now they might have owned a place or been on their way to owning a place, and they would have been smart actually to buy into it back in the 90s, because that $5.5 million house would have been probably under $1 million back then. The point is that simply investing in real estate in the city you live in is not always an option, especially when it comes to a place like Vancouver, where you have to be ultra rich to do it here. The only place where it's affordable to buy real estate in BC is literally small towns where there are no jobs. So in the city, forget it. So I'm really surprised actually that there aren't more RV and van dwellers around. I mean, there are thousands. In all of Metro Vancouver and the Sunshine Coast and Vancouver Island, at least a few thousand. And they're hidden in side streets and parks and beaches. They're all over the place. I can spot them everywhere I go. That being said, you know that there's a lot of people like me that do this by choice, and also because they simply enjoy the lifestyle. And another couple of people that, I've shown a lot of people on my channel that do this by choice. And recently you met Tyler and Sarah on my channel, the couple who lives in their Dodge Class B Pleasureway, and did an interview with them. We are going to have a sit down and answer a bunch of your questions, like a Q&A. We're going to record it, I believe, this Sunday. We're going to get together. So what I want you guys to do on this video is leave your questions for all three of us. Whatever you want. You have something you want to ask me. I mean, I answer questions all the time, but this is going to be, a longer a Q&A session. And of course, for Tyler and Sarah and their two little dogs in their little Class B, happily living in Metro Vancouver, working 2 jobs, just like they were before, except now they're not paying rent. And they both love their choice and they have no regrets. So if you have any questions for them, please leave them on this video, and we're going to answer them all when we record that video coming up at the end of the week. All right, keep on rocking the free world, everyone. We'll talk to y'all soon.
All the way from the States, North Carolina, in the mountains.
Keep on rocking the free world.
Keep it up, Justin. We love you.
So how many degrees Fahrenheit is 30 kilometers an hour?
How many gallons in a liter?
Celsius.
Yeah.